Hey, it's Tony Huerta with a tech talk for Sonic Audio and Take 6. Just kind of wanted to show you what we're running. I've gotten a few requests to do this, and I just haven't had a chance. But here we are at the Dakota in Minneapolis, Minnesota. It's a cool jazz club. Really cool vibe, you know? So I'm sitting side stage because their mix position is like way up in the corner of the second floor, and you just can't hear very well up there. So there you go. But what I'm running is for all you Allen and Heath SQ people. This is an SQ5. Ta-da! SQ5. I use it to its fullest extent. I know Take 6 is 6 microphones, but we also run 2 guitars, piano, keyboard, all that good stuff. So second layers with instruments. There's that. Then the third layer, so yeah, first layer is mostly just the guys with delay, send, short, long, and reverbs, delay, and then I use that octave a little bit on the bass. Second one is adding the instruments to that. Third one is my virtual monitor layer. And the monitor layer is pretty much, I'm using 2 stereo sends for the guys. They like to be on pretty much all the same mix, 5 guys on 1 mix. With panning so that they can hear their own voices and their brain can really pick up on their own voice within a stereo image. So that's how they run them. So they can hear the balance and blend of what they're doing, and they can hear themselves all the time. So, and I also have done that with many bands, even a full big band, where like a full big band is on three mixes or 4 mixes. Horns on 1, vocals on 2, full band and everything on 3. So 3 mixes. But here they are, Take 6, being 5 guys on 1 mix. One guy gets his own mix because he sings so high and sometimes so quiet that he really needs to have his own thing so he doesn't get drowned out in that mix. So anyway, there's that. I also do play a pitch in their ears so that they don't have to blow a pitch pipe on stage, because about half their show or a little more is without instruments. So there you go. And then I have audience mics. Ta-da! Because I feed those audience mics into their in-ears. I do a post fader, and those audience mics go in with a high-pass filter of about 300 hertz, so that it takes out all the warmth and muddiness into their ears, because it's called occlusion. I don't know if you're aware of what occlusion is, but occlusion is where plug your ears and then sing or talk. That's occlusion. And usually it's between, it's all the low frequencies that are rattling through your head. It's all the frequencies that have a longer wavelength than the thickness of your skull. So there you go. So in what I've figured out is it's probably around 300 hertz. So I take those audience microphones and I high-pass filter them up to 300 so that it's nice and clear in there, but they get a good sense panned of the audience, so they can have their in-ears fully sealed. And they are West Tones, by the way. West Tone ES60s or ES50s, depending on how much low end they like. 50s have a bigger sub driver and a little more clear on the low end. There you go. 60s are just 6 driver, meaning 60s, and 50s are 5 drivers. You know, the 60s have a little more clarity between the crossovers on the upper end, so great for singers. But my beatboxer and my bass definitely like the 50s, for sure. So there's that. In-ears with audience mics, transmitting from PSM 900s. And so that's the board. Then let's get into the ULXDs. And the ULXDs are incredible. These are about 10 years old. We were sponsored by Shure for quite a bit, and then and they gave us these ULXD digital mics, and they're Dante compatible. So here's the network side. ULXDs, I have 10 of them running, 2 for guitars, 8 for voices, because we have a beatbox mic up there that's separate, and then my microphone, because I perform with them sometimes. And there you go. So I have a Dante DT168 Allen and Heath Dante stage box that's sitting on stage, and that captures the piano and the keyboard. It also has the sends for the PSM 900 in-ear transmitters. And all that runs with a Cat 5 or Cat 6 Ethercon or Ethernet cable from the stage to the ULXDs. And then they daisy chain together. And I know some engineers are worried about, being redundant, but guess what? I've done, I don't know, 1,200 shows with this setup. I've never had a problem. I had one bad Ethernet cable once, but we found it at a sound check and then just switched it out and it's no big deal. So, but other than that, over 1,000 shows with switched. You put the Dante into switched mode, switched in the mixing console, switched in the ULXDs, and then the stage box over there also switched. So everything is switched. So they all just cascade into each other. So I have stage box DT168 into the top unit of ULXD, daisy chain with little itty bitty Cat 6 jumpers, and then I come out of that into the mixing console, and then I go from there in the Dante card in the back of the SQ5, and I come out of that networked to my Mac Pro. And let me pull up, hold on. I hit quit instead of switch. There we go. All right, so there's my Dante controller. There's all the patching, Dante controller going in. It shows all of my units here. DT168, MacBook Pro, SQ5, take 1, 6, 2, and take 6, 1, 2, and 3. So those are my ULXDs, and they all patch right there. Ta-da! Then I run Pro Tools, and Pro Tools is running multi-track out. So it's the tracks that they had on their album that are actually playing out through Dante, into the mixing console, and they land on individual tracks. So I can actually mix all the instruments. Because sometimes venues, they're different. Different venues will react differently to the kick drum, and I might need to mix that separately and have that fit in with my bass singer and stuff like that. So there you go. I mean, that was a mouthful in about 8 minutes. But that's what I'm running. So there you go. If you have any questions, hit me up, PM me, whatever, right in this thread. And it's a good show. I'll try to post some snippets of what's going on. There is one more thing, and I get this question all the time. How do you live stream from this? So this is the cool thing about the SQ5. Now, this is a question that pops up on the Allen & Heath user forums for the SQ5, Ivanis, and DLive all the time. And it's, how do you make a good streaming feed or recording feed? So this group, it's Take 6. They're 10-time Grammy Award winners, and we do like a lot of virtual stuff, we did through the pandemic, but we also do a lot of TV feeds, and like the tree lighting at the White House, or the Macy's parade, or all sorts of things that have to be televised live. And what's cool about this, and most engineers freak out when I tell them that I'm mixing the TV feed and the live feed at the same time, but it's actually very easy when you set it up this way. So here it is. This is for streaming and for live TV feeds, and it turns out to be an awesome feed. So here we go. I take the master fader and I route it to a matrix. That last matrix on the right is matrix 3. Matrix 3 is my recording feed or live sound feed. That's for TV, recording, everything. Now what goes into that recording feed is pre-fader from the master fader. So in other words, it's taking all of my mix moves that are happening live, and that's balance. That's balance of microphones, that's balance of guitars, keyboards, everything. And that balance is true to the venue, of course, but it's also true to the broadcast feed. And there's no need to remix it, because what you're hearing live is what you have to mix. And that mix is way better than what someone can do when they're sitting in a room backstage on a separate mixing console. They can't watch what's going on. They can't feel the flow of the gig and all that. So I send a pre-fader out of my left-right. So pre-fader, because I don't want my room EQ, which I use the parametric EQ to dial in the room and get rid of nodes and standing waves and things like that. I don't want that in my recording feed. So it is a pre-fader send Second of all, I do send my subs. My subs are on an aux, a post-fader aux, and they are sending to that matrix also. The third thing that I do is I take my audience microphones and I send them to an aux right here, sending to the aux, pretty much full volume. And then that aux also feeds, let's look at it, also feeds the matrix number 3. Now that one is post fader. Post fader because I don't want, well, I want to have my high pass filter at 300 hertz. I want that to hit that matrix. And what you end up with those audience microphones panned hard left and right in that aux, you end up with an incredible thing of space in the room for your stream or your TV feed. And I can adjust that up and down because I'll monitor that and see how it's going. If I'm doing a TV feed, I'll be monitoring that while I'm mixing the show. It's so true that I can mix the show on that feed. It's the best balance between left, right, and sub and audience microphones all coming together into a matrix and being sent out to a TV truck or TV station or radio or anything that we're doing that way. Or I just record that and I record it onto the thumb drive right there using the SQ drive, and we end up with an awesome recording of our show. So that's kind of what that's about. Use a matrix for what it's for. Matrix is not to send to subs, just to let you know. Either run them inline or run them on an aux. And there you go. So, also matrix is for sending out to other program feeds like lobbies and assisted listening devices and recording devices and things like that. That's what a matrix is for. Or zones in your venue where you need delay compensation and EQ for different styles or different types, models of boxes for your under balcony fills, in fills, all that good stuff. That's what a matrix is for. And the reason for it is that when you turn down your main fader, all the matrix follow it. And that's a big deal. So especially for all your zones. That was a lot. So, but that is the basic setup here at Take 6. And the basic setup I use for pretty much everyone that I mix, which is mostly vocal groups, but also the Ray Charles, George on My Mind tour, sometimes with a full big band, and also with gospel choir and 8 singers and a big old band. So that's why they call it a big band, right? There you go. There's the setup. PM me with any questions. And of course, all engineers do things differently, so I bet I'll get some people that disagree, but that's cool. This is what works, and I've found it works over the last 18 years of touring with the 10-time Grammy Award-winning Take 6 group. The other thing about the Take 6 guys is that they have incredible ears, so I can't mess up. It's a little bit of stress because they hear everything I do. Even with the sealed in ears, they notice when something is different. So there you go. My dudes. Talented dudes. Very talented dudes. All right. We'll talk to you later. Again, Tony with Take 6 and Sonic Audio. See ya.